What if leadership wasn't just about driving change, but also holding space? What if transformation came not just from AI and strategy decks, but from empathy, listening, and the courage to simplify? Sheenam Ohrie has spent 3 decades in global tech, leading at Oracle, SAP, Infosys, Dell, and now as managing director at Broadridge India. But what sets her apart isn't just her resume, it's her refusal to lead with noise, her ability to spot quiet signs of team health, and her belief that culture is built in moments when no one is watching. She's led massive transformations, delivered operational excellence, and coached leaders through change, resistance, and reinvention. So, what does it really take to lead with clarity when everything around you is complex? How do you stay human in a world run by systems and speed? And if leadership had a heartbeat, what would it sound like? If you have ever felt torn between compassion and control, between being bold and being real, this one's for you. I'm Antony Alex, and you're watching Season 2 of the Leadership Lounge.
When you have that childlike thing about saying, okay, I want to learn and I want to be different, that's something that stays with you. So my job as your coach is to bring the subconscious from the behind of the head to the front of the head, right? Through active questioning. You have to be confident in yourself and be ready to face any kind of challenge. In challenge, there are always opportunities, and I really don't like to use the word challenge, I like to use the word opportunities. Right? You may be introverts, but your work requires you to be heard.
An extrovert.
Yeah, the work requires you to be visible. Your work requires you to tell your story. Technology is not the front leading part of decision making.
Sure.
So depending on what you want to do and what you want to achieve, you figure out what's the best technology to use and leverage. As long as you're setting the right guardrails, technology will behave. Be kind to me.
Sheenam, welcome to the Leadership Lounge. Delighted to have you here.
Absolute pleasure to be here, Anthony. Thank you for having me here.
Sheenam, you've had a very interesting career trajectory. You worked with some of the biggest brands from Oracle all the way to Broadridge today. If you were to sort of distill the arc of your leadership philosophy, from the time you began till where you are today, how would you describe it?
All right. So at the onset, Anthony, I must tell you that I didn't join Oracle. I joined a startup, right? And the startup at that point of time was called CITL, Citicorp Information Technology Industries Limited. CITL was created as an offshoot of Citibank's captive COSL, and 15 people left COSL to start CITL. This happened in 91, and in 92 they did a roadshow in Bangalore and hired 25 of us who were fresh college graduates, and we kind of made the company a size of 40. The career really started off from being a startup with a version of software that was taken from COSL, and we needed to distill it and make it ours. Very interesting times, the first 15 years of my career. I learned a lot. CITL became iFlex, became Oracle, right? The leadership lessons that I gained during those first 15 years of my career have kind of stayed with me throughout. One is be ready for anything, right? You have to be confident in yourself and be ready to face any kind of challenge. In challenge, there are always opportunities, and I really don't like to use the word challenge, I like to use the word opportunities. And see how you can convert those opportunities into something big, right? One of the things that I learned with CITL, iFlex, then Oracle. The second lesson for me was be curious. And the third one was really all about leadership for people, right? Our leaders at iFlex, or iFlex was the most part of it, instilled in us very deep values of empathy, of being able to do the right thing and create a balance for the organization and for our employees and associates, right? And how do you take that forward? So those were the kind of leadership lessons that I learned at iFlex, which kind of stayed with me. And the most powerful of that is really being curious, right? When you have that childlike thing about saying, okay, I want to learn and I want to be different, that's something that stays with you. I'll give you an example of something that I did at iFlex, which kind of was my change trajectory into the way I am today. In 97, I had Adi, our child, and 98, Alok had to move from Bangalore to Mumbai. I decided to stay back in Bangalore, and Adi and I were alone in Bangalore. And the reason for that was that I had taken admission in a particular school, Montessori for Adi, and that led to a direct admission into National Public School at that point of time. So I said, I don't want to lose that opportunity because I already have that. And National Public School was one of the best schools at that point of time in Bangalore. So we decided to stay back. One night, Adi asked me a question if I would leave him too, right? So, a 2-year-old, that was the psyche. So I went back and I told my manager that you do anything, but I'm not going to travel, right? And remember, we were still Citl at that point of time,
Right.
and a young startup. We just come out with FlexCube, which was our, core banking solution for the globe. Everybody was traveling. So for you to grow, for you to contribute to your company's goals, it was necessary for you to travel. But I decided to stay back. And I think when I look back at hindsight, that was really a good decision because I did everything. I did QA, I did support, I set up support, I did engineering, I did software quality assurance, I did process governance. So I got a holistic 360-degree view of everything that happens in the software life cycle, right?
In fact, you may have got a better view than some of your
Yes.
counterparts who did not have that opportunity,
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely. And that kind of set up a foundation for me. Then in 2004, my manager came back and said, there is this red customer in Montreal, and this entire region is very important to us because we were doing really well in the Africas, in MEA, relatively okay in India, but we were kind of trying to break through to North Americas. And he said, this customer is important, it's gone red, they can sue us, we want you to take over. And I was like, you want to throw me out? Do that straight, right? Why do you do this to me? I've never seen a customer site. I've never gone to an implementation. And now you want me to lead an implementation and you want me to, convert a deep red customer into a green customer. Now, when that happened, I went out and looked for a job. And I got a job.
Because you thought that this was your company's way of telling you to leave?
Yes, it was. That's what I thought. I said, they're setting me up for failure. Yeah.
Sure.
So when I got my job, I said, if I can get a job outside, let me try this. That changed me. That changed my self-awareness of myself, my own perception about myself. And I always use that as an example to tell people because I think Kapil, who was my manager, realized that I had the potential to do it. I didn't know it, right? And he was like bull-headed, stubborn. He said, this is something that you have to do. Yeah.
It's a non-negotiable.
Yeah. I threw tantrums, I did everything, but he was like, you have to do this. Right? He was calm, composed and everything on all my emotional outbursts with him, threatening him and stuff like that. So that assignment lasted for about 2 years.
But this involved travel.
It involved travel. By that time, Adi, so I went back, I talked to Adi, and he said, yeah, please go. Like,
how old was Adi
he was, at that point of time, was about 8 years old.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
8, 9, yeah.
He could have a conversation.
Yeah, I had a conversation, and his only thing was, when you go there, get me, he wanted a game, and he wanted a red t-shirt. And he literally wanted his mother out of his hair.
8-year-old boys are easy to please, actually.
Yeah. So I said, okay. So cool Montreal in winter, and Montreal is really cold. But I think what I enjoyed was I made loads of notes of problems that the customers had and synthesized them into smaller bites of execution. Was able to cluster things together, bring things together, and start to do a transformation journey in the next 6 to 8 months that made a difference to the way we delivered, right? In about a year and a half, we went live, we were making money from the account and stuff like that. That showed me that thrown a challenge, I could convert it into an opportunity, and I had it in me to do more. Eventually, that led me to leave iFlex and Oracle because I said, I've stopped learning here. Everything that I needed to learn, every role that I possibly could have done here, I've done. Let's explore more, right? But that was a fundamental change and a leadership trait that I learned, that you have to take problems head on. And you have to be curious about what those problems are. Really figure out those problems, spend time understanding and negotiating the problem statement. Solutions will follow.
Right.
Okay, so that was one leadership lesson that I really learned there. Fast forward, I decided, it's time to do something different. And the ambition was to start small again, the way we did with Citl. Business Objects came into India, setting up a BOT model through Nest Technologies. So the size of Business Objects was smaller than the size of my team at iFlex, and therefore the team that I was going to get was even smaller.
Right.
But I said, let's do it. Now you decide something. Man proposes and God disposes, right? SAP bought us the same year. So we went from being a 5,000 people organization, a really small niche organization, to being a really small LOB in a very, very large organization.
There's something about organizations that you joined that end up being acquired. You're a bit of a magnet for that, aren't you?
Those are the only 2 times.
All right. But in case anybody out
But
there
yes,
is looking to get acquired,
yeah,
they should...
Yeah, at that point of time, I had that reputation. Like my friends used to say, this happens to you.
Yeah.
But, in Business Objects, the world was very different. Remember, I came from a made in India company.
Right.
And we grew with the organization, right? The 40 people, by the time I left, we were 10,000 people. We were growing with the organization. There was a degree of informality that did not exist earlier.
Right.
Right? That did not exist in other organizations. Now, Business Objects, somebody told me, okay, you want to talk to me? Send me a meeting request. And for the life of me, Anthony, I didn't know what a meeting request was. I'd never done it in iFlex. Right?
You just walked into people's
We just walked
rooms and
into
had
people's,
meetings.
yeah, and we just spoke to each other.
Yeah.
Right? If
Here
we
it
wanted
had
to
to be
do,
calendarized.
yeah, we want to do a design review, we would just say, "Kal design review hai, bhai log is meeting mein aa jana."
This is the time.
Yeah, and there was no start time and end time. You just did things together and contributed to make things better. So I had to find out what a meeting request looks like, right? I moved from being an application software person to being a very technology software person. So there was a huge steep learning curve personally for myself, because FlexCube was all about applications, right? About giving core functionality to its users, really large application. Business Objects was a really small application, but very strong from a technology perspective. And the challenge that I got thrown there at Business Objects was, my manager called me on day 2 and said, here is a group of 20 people. I had 45 people. They're not doing well. I want you to throw them out. And I was coming from a made in India company. I said, this is not something that I can do. So I told him, I still remember the conversation. I said, Vibhav, I joined in July. Give me time till 1st of January. If I don't turn this team around, then I will get them to leave. But you have to give me 6 months, because you're being very unfair to me, calling me and saying that this team, the globe doesn't see any value in the team. So the leadership lesson was there, ask, right? And if you're logical about your ask, it'll be given.
Sure.
Right? So Vibhav agreed to that. He said, okay, you have 6 months. It was a really tough 6 months. But in February, that team got the best team award in business objects. So you can make it happen. Again, going back to the fact that if you have a problem and you are able to dilute that problem into really small components, you will be able to solve those problems, right?
Right.
But the lesson that I took away when I reflected back was that if I had not asked and I had just said, okay, I don't know, but I'll do it.
If you had meekly followed orders.
Yeah, things would have been very different. The third one I would say is when we merged with SAP in about a year and a half, I decided that I would kind of go into mainstream SAP. If you're a part of such a large organization, you might as well want to contribute and learn the mainstream products. So I moved into mainstream SAP in 2009. And in 2010, there was a role which we were trying to create, which was called the Chief Product Owner role. Nobody knew what that role was. So my manager came and said, you're leading a team, you've got about 230 people, this is going to be an IC role. Okay, I don't know what this role means.
So you moved from leading about 230 people into an IC role?
Yes.
Okay.
So I said, yes, I'll do it, right? So highly ambiguous, no definition of what good looks like, no definition of what I need to do. I had to build it myself. I had to do a lot of negotiations, a lot of convincing people, a lot of influencing people. But that assignment told me the value of what ambiguity is to leadership. The more ambiguous situations you are able to handle as a leader, it showcases the better leadership traits that you bring to the table, right? The ability to take a single line problem statement and convert that into a larger problem statement and then divide it, apply the same rules, I think are phenomenal. Right? I think that again changed my perspective about what I could do and bring to the table. That one assignment, right? Because it meant learning ABAP, because I had developers giving me a lot of crap and saying, no, this cannot be done in ABAP. So I went and learned ABAP myself. It was about creating vision statements, convincing customers that they should partner with us, convincing partners that they should partner with us, convincing a lot of stakeholders that this can be done, and figuring out what are the right protocols, what are the right non-functional requirements that it means, figuring out a house for the product that we were trying to create and conceptualize. So it gave me a very different view of what the SDLC is from what I had at iFlex, but it gave me the ability to handle ambiguity, and that I think is beautiful. Infosys, when I moved to Infosys, it was a lot about P&L, a lot about managing the various KPIs across a business that was generating revenue, right? The first and only time in my career that I did a P&L role, and that led me to really understand the balance between what a sale is, what is revenue, what is operating margin, what is operating income, what is revenue per person, what is cost per person, and how does that magic work. So just moving from being a software developer and a product person to being a P&L owner, it kind of completed my
business
profile.
of business.
Yeah, the business. So at that point of time, I was capable of running a business myself. Right.
And is that the reason why you moved to Infosys for this particular role?
It was taking me back to core banking, which is what I had done the first 15 years of my life. B, it was a very different profile, right? Dell happened after that. And, the role at Dell, when they came looking for me, was they wanted somebody to set up their mobility lab. Right? They didn't have a mobile engineering team, and they wanted somebody to come and set it up. So my conversations were all about product or all about software engineering, because I didn't understand the M of mobility. But it was again a very different role, because for the first time I was in IT, in software engineering, but in IT. Again, the dream of setting something up and building something and, really creating from scratch. That was why Dell happened. While Dell was doing really well, Broadridge happened. And in Broadridge, there was this allure of it being a C role. And what they were talking about was that in another 2.5 years, my predecessor would kind of retire, and this was like a bench for that role. So that's why I took that on. Leadership lessons at Broadridge have been immense. From understanding why we do what we do from a finance perspective, from an HR perspective, from a legal perspective, right? Really, the holistic way of building a company as to why would you invest in a particular property, to what does this law really mean, and what does this new regulation that the government is coming out saying, to really infusing software engineering and technology-led transformation in the organization. It's been an entirely different ball game, and it's a ball game that I'm thoroughly enjoying myself.
Amazing. Sheenam, that's an incredible story actually. And I think very inspiring for everybody who's watching. Just to sort of continue with, so Broadridge is almost $7 billion in revenue. $6.5 billion in revenue in globally, and you run the India Global Capability Center, which has about 5,000 odd employees in India, and which is a third of the global workforce as well. Right? So it's a very significant part of what Broadridge does globally.
Correct.
Before we go further, I just would like to understand a little bit better about you as a leader. Leaders typically tend to favor or are more close to a certain part of their business, or they identify more closely with it. Some are sales leaders, some are finance leaders, some are, product leaders. What kind of a leader are you? What are you closest to?
I would call myself a product-led technology leader.
Product-led technology leader. Okay.
Yeah. I love to create. So, the entire concept of product management, which is, getting empathy towards the clients and what the market needs are, converting that into something that is a vision statement for an idea, and then building that to a product, and then leveraging the light technology to enable that, is something that I believe I am. I'm a certified lean coach. I'm a design thinking facilitator. I've done courses in Agile and Scrum. The ways of working are also very important to me. That's who I am.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. One of the themes that I would like to explore a little bit more with you, Sheenam, is your career trajectory that started in the 90s, right? When barely 5% of a classroom in an engineering college would be women? 5 more?
10
less?
maybe.
10 maybe?
Yeah.
Let's say between 5 to 10, right? Depending on the college and what have you. And then, therefore, that also gets reflected in the workforce, right?
Yep.
You only have that many women engineers that are making it to the workforce. Today, there is so much talk about, greater representation for women, more diversity, more women in the workforce, etc., right? I want for us to take a step back in time. If you could share with us what your early days as a young engineer, a woman, did you feel that you had to do anything different from your male counterparts? You had to do more than them, or did you have it easier than them? Or, would just love to hear your thoughts on what it was like back in the day. And if there are any lessons for us today, modern, in today's time, if there is something that we could learn from those days.
So back then, there was no concept of diversity. There was absolutely nothing, oh, you're a woman, right? You are another associate in the organization, and you have to deliver as much as you want to deliver, and you have the ambition to deliver, right? The entire concept when I was growing up in Seattle was, you're here to make FlexCube happen, okay, and get FlexCube enriched. and your job is to do that. Whether you're in engineering or you're in support or you are in testing or you are in some other function, that's what your mission is. And there was no difference between a man and a woman at that point of time. And I'll give you an incident that happened.
You were all just resources.
We were just all people.
All people.
All engineers. I wouldn't call it resources. Resources makes it a little bit more difficult. I'll give you an incident that happened, which was, we went to a resort for a leadership offsite, and I was the only woman there. There were about 60 of us. And the resort owner actually called out my manager and said, only one woman. And I turned around and I looked, oh, am I the only one? Right? So that was
hadn't occurred to you until then.
Yeah. So, I actually turned around and I said, really? Oh, okay. So that was the first time somebody actually brought out the fact that, that was there.
You also were probably made aware of your gender.
Correct.
Right?
Until then it was not
okay.
Ever something that we had brought out specifically. I think it's also important for us to understand that, in the middle age, right, when I was at SAP, diversity actually became a bad word. Because then there was quotas for promotions, and there was, people were saying that, acha tumko promotion mila or tumko ye job mila because you're a woman and not because you're good.
So snide remarks about diversity quota.
Correct.
I mean, it still continues even today.
It is a little less now,
Yeah.
also because of the fact that, women have done well and there are role models now in the industry. The temperament has changed from that perspective, because now diversity is more about what is your customer base, and do you have a subset of that customer base in your factory, in your development environment, and therefore you have the empathy for that kind of persona within your development factory, and therefore you're catering to that need, right? So the business needs for diversity, so to say, have changed, and that's what we need to talk about. Now, I think today we are at a stage where business imperative needs us to decide that if my customer base has men, women, elderly people, young people, people from a particular community,
Yes.
okay, we have to cater to the way they will use our product and they will experience our product. And that empathy, that sensitivity and that experience has to come out from my product. If I don't have that subset in my development environment, in my software engineering environment, I'll never be able to cater to you. I'll never be able to cater to how a woman uses, for example, when I was at Dell, like a woman uses Dell.com versus a man versus somebody who's like my father, somebody like my son, right? I need to have all of that within
all
my
the diversity has to be captured.
Yeah, within the product thing. So diversity is now a business case. It's a business imperative. It's no longer woman and man. It's much bigger than that. How do you bring different kinds of talent into the industry?
Sheenam, you are an ICF certified coach. You've always advocated for people transformation. I'd like to know a little bit more about how the whole ICF coach thing happened, right? I mean, you're an engineer. How did you end up being an ICF certified coach? And does the coach in you come out, at times of conflict or organizational transformation? Does that side of you come out?
Good question. So I've always been very, very interested in people, right? Enabling careers, enabling people to be a better version of themselves is something that gives me personally a lot of energy. So at SAP, when we were going into this entire transformation journey of moving from waterfall to agile and actually to lean, right? They said that it was very important for us to have coaches. And along with being a lean coach, there was also this entire thing about being a certified executive coach that was being offered. So for people who said we will spend 50% of our time doing lean coaching, That was something that SAP was willing to sponsor fully, and for others it was willing to sponsor partially, right? So when that opportunity came up, I said, let's do that, right? So I did my course on both ACC, which is the fundamental level in ICF, and then PCC, which is the second level. There's a third level, which is MCC, which I have not done because I've really not taken over professional coaching. I've done a lot of coaching, but that has primarily been at SAP, Infosys, Dell, and now at Broadridge.
Right.
What does coaching do to you? I think it opens up your minds to the art of possibilities. First principle of coaching is that everybody is good and everybody wants to do the right thing. So you start with that premise. And when your mind starts to getting acclimatized to the fact that you are, everybody has something which is really good about them, then you start to explore that in people, right? Okay, he's not able to do this well, maybe she can do this better, maybe they can do something else better. That entire journey of exploration of saying, what is it that the person in front of you is capable of doing really well? So you're not judging people because they didn't do a particular aspect of work well, but you're wanting to give opportunities. The second thing that coaching did for me was really heighten my own self-awareness. So there are times when you can be your own self-coach, right? And I try to do this at least twice a year, where I lock myself, and I'm able to do that because I travel so much. I lock myself in a room on a Saturday when I'm traveling, switch off all gadgets, right? So mobile is off, iPad, laptop, everything is off. It's just my pen and my paper. And I ask myself certain questions, right, to reflect on whether this is something that I set out to do, and if not that, then what else? And how can I be better at what I'm doing? And considering where we are from a leadership rung perspective, right, our roles are really to enable. It's not so much to do ourselves, but to enable. And when you have to start to enable people, you have to start getting into a mind stream that's very, very different. So that coaching of yourself, I have found it very powerful. The third rung of coaching is the art of questioning, right? The difference between a coach and a mentor is that the mentor tells you from experience. So listen, Anthony, you're doing this work for you to be better. I did this, okay? And I faced these problems. This is how I changed the way I was doing things, and I became better. So I'm advising you basis experience.
Right.
A coach doesn't necessarily have to have the same experience as you.
Okay.
Okay, so coach figures out what is it that you want to do and asks you questions, because the premise again on coaching is that in your mind somewhere a situation of this nature has happened earlier, maybe not to you, maybe to somebody else, and you know the solution to the problem. So my job as your coach is to bring the subconscious from the behind of the head to the front of the head, right, through active questioning.
To help you find your own answer.
Yes, to help you find your own answers. It's not to tell you, it's to ask you the right questions to get you there. Now, that's a very powerful tool, because it's powerful because you have to know what are the right questions and step back, right? It's also a very powerful tool for product management.
Of course.
So you become very good product managers because you ask the right questions to the customers. You are able to figure out and get the empathy out from the customers to really get out what they want from your product,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So that marriage between being a coach, okay, and that art of questioning, to being, the industry that I belong to and where, what gives me the most energy, has been really powerful through this entire learning exercise of coaching. I use the art of questioning, the art of coaching in a lot of peer conversations also. It's
Right.
not just about people who are reporting into me or people who come to me for advice. to gauge where the other person is at, right? When you're able to figure out what makes the other person tick, right? And what are the keys to unlock a win situation for the other person, right? Conversations become that much more easier. And you do that because you're a coach and you can ask questions, marry that with curiosity and the art of asking questions, right? You figure out so many nuances of a person's personality that then helps you become better in your relationship with them.
So conflict management becomes much easier.
Much easier. Much
And
easier.
possibly in many instances you avoid conflict as well before even it gets to the conflict.
Yeah, because
stage.
if you are able to explain to the other person a situation in a way that the person is able to adapt to, there is no conflict.
Right.
Where is the conflict? The conflict arises because I want to do something that you believe is not going to work for you, for your growth. In an office environment, that's what it is, right? Each one of us wants to grow. Some of us want to grow at the cost of somebody else, but most people want to grow at their own cost. They want to grow to be better. Now, if I am helping you become better, right, then there is no conflict.
Would you recommend that all aspiring and or those who already are in the C-suite or CEOs running their own organizations get some form of
I
coaching
would
certification?
strongly recommend that.
Yeah?
I would strongly recommend that, because to me it has opened doors of possibilities, right? Just the fact that everybody is good, right? You're still a human being. You still have to remind yourself that. But when you're introspecting and retrospecting why a particular conversation didn't go well, and you go back to first principles, life changes.
Understood. From coaching to managing employees at SAP, your team achieved a 93% on the employee survey index with a 5% attrition. Were you doing something really different at SAP, or is there anything that you can attribute? These are great numbers, right?
They are great numbers, and my employee survey results have always been good. Broadridge gained 12 points, 1200 basis points,
After
12
you took
percentage.
over?
Yes, after we took over. We maintained that lead.
Congratulations,
Thank you. So we participate in the Great Place to Work survey globally. And this year, we moved into the top 25 companies in the BFSI segment. You can't get better than that.
That's at the global level.
At an India level.
At an India level.
Yeah,
okay.
so we are the top 25 BFSI companies in India. We have results coming out for India across all industries, and I am hoping to be in that. That's on 25th of June. So by the time this podcast comes in, you will have a number.
We'll have the results.
You will have the number. But the fundamentals of people management are very simple. You treat people as respected associates in your organization. They have aspirations, they have dreams, they have careers, and they go back to families. Right? When you start to deal with people as resources versus you start to deal with people saying, I am responsible for your career and I am responsible for the happiness of your family, life changes. Right? So what are you doing for the families of your people? Right? How are you involving them once a year? How are you involving them in the way you function? I'll give you a very simple example, right? We launched a program which was called the Broadridge Business Leadership Masters program. We took through a very strong evaluation process several of our young leaders, and we had 6 leaders who actually formed the first cohort of that in India. 1 year, you don't work, you're just learning. So you're going through the entire spectrum of our products. You get external coaching on leadership. You understand financial and business acumen externally. You are mentored by leaders. You get a lot of insights of leadership. So they were exposed to about 100 hours of leaders. So a very rigorous 1-year long intervention happened. Now, when we did the graduation, Tim was here last week and we did the graduation for the first cohort. We send
Tim's your CEO.
Tim's our CEO. We send a bouquet and a box of chocolates, and we invited the entire family, including parents, for their graduation. It was just a way of saying thank you. So there was no restriction. It was parents, anybody in the family. Yeah,
you can get your family.
Yeah, you can get your family. So we had parents there, we had in-laws there, we had spouses, children. It was a phenomenal thing to just see, right? The pride that they see.
Of course.
And spouses spoke. When we were doing the Q&A, we had 2 spouses who stood up and said, "I want to say something," right? And that's building a bridge that nobody else does, right? It was very powerful because then you had 5,000 people watching that and saying, my family can be here next year, right? And I can be proud for them, right? I can create that pride. Once a year, we send something to the family, just saying thank you.
So every family of every Broadridge employee gets something once a year.
Yes.
That's what you as a leader believe we should be doing for the people.
Just a thank you note.
Just a thank you note.
Just a thank you
Because
note.
families play a big role in the success of an individual at the workplace.
We are creating software, right? When you create products, you need people to work long hours.
Yes.
There are issues, there are customer escalations, there are customer implementations. Sometimes you're fighting against deadlines. Sometimes you just have so much pressure and stress at work. And the people who take that stress away from you are the families, right? You have to acknowledge their presence. That's part 1. Part 2 is, if you are unhappy at work, you will take that unhappiness to home, right? And all said and done, whether you're a man or the woman of the house, okay, you're the fulcrum of happiness for that house.
Yes.
Whether you're the son, daughter, spouse, parent, you are providing happiness to the house. So how do you take care of your associates at work? Ensure they're stress-free, both from a mental well-being, a physical well-being, a psychological safety perspective. How do you ensure that they're seeing their careers grow, right? And they're seeing that they belong. How do you ensure that they want to walk into that door every day happily? That's what makes organizations tick.
And you spend a significant amount of your time actually thinking about this, right?
Yes.
How can I make this a better place for someone who walks in every day to work?
Absolutely.
That occupies So, as a leader, you believe that this aspect, the people aspect of any business, it's not just the software or the products business, but would you say that it would apply
They are the
to
most important thing.
They're
the most important levers for anybody, right? Talent is really the most important thing for us to do.
Understood. Sheenam, you've worn multiple hats. You've handled different roles, different geographies. You've been VP. You've been COO. You've been MD. You are MD. Have you faced, situations where balancing assertiveness on one hand and empathy on the other is something that you've had to deal with? And what's your leadership mantra for dealing with it?
And I can answer that in a very simple way. Why do they need to be different?
They can go hand in hand.
They can go hand in hand, right? I'll give you a very simple example. Back in SAP, I had somebody reporting into me who was a 5-rater, which is the highest rating for the last 2 years. And I was going to give him a 3, right? And I spent an hour with him. My conversation with him was not about what went wrong. My conversation with him was, what he could become. Right? So there was a feed forward rather than a feedback.
Okay.
Right? And when he walked out of that conversation with a 3 rating, he said, this was the best conversation that I've ever had in my entire life. You have to be clear on what you want to achieve. And you have to be clear that is that the best use of the person who's in front of you's strengths. You have to be very clear, is that the best leverage of the talent that that person brings to the table. And if you are able to craft a scenario that marries all 3 of them, then there is empathy and there is assertiveness.
Assertiveness as well.
Yeah.
Just staying with that particular situation that you mentioned, the individual had performed well, but
3 is a good reading.
3 is
3
a good rating.
Yeah.
But probably not to potential or not to what
Had
you
the
expected
potential.
of a 5.
Yeah.
of
Had
a
the
5.
potential to do more. Okay.
Significantly more, I'm guessing.
Yes. Yeah.
From 3
but,
to 5.
You know, career conversations can have to be very powerful.
Yes.
And it needs empathy. It needs you to be assertive together. Right?
Fantastic.
It needs you to be saying, you could have done this better, not because of something that you did, but you can be better tomorrow in ways of this nature. This is what you're good at, and if you build on that, then you can do this in a much better way. And that's where a little bit of coaching also comes into the play.
I'm seeing now there's like a blend of everything that's making you who you are, right?
Yeah. So,
how did this individual do, Sheenam?
He's doing really well. He's still at SAP doing really well.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And probably collecting 5s.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Okay. All right. You've been a, big advocate of respect at work and at Broadridge, an impact advocate. How do you in today's day and age, how do you really amplify psychological safety at the workplace? How do you ensure that, and I think you've answered a part of it in terms of the amount of time you spend thinking about how people feel when they get to work.
Plus
right?
the business imperatives.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you could just elaborate on that a little bit to share with us really the whole aspect of, making workplaces more respectful and inclusive maybe. What are some of,
I'm going to turn this around.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you a question. What makes you bring the best to work for yourself?
And is that what you ask all your employees?
I'm asking you, tell me.
What makes me bring my best to work? For me, I guess purpose. That it's the purpose. I mean, getting up every day
If I define a really good purpose for you,
I'd be excited to get into work every day.
And I'm always rude to you.
Of course, that wouldn't work.
It won't work, right?
Yeah.
So ensuring that you're working in a non-toxic environment is very, very important and critical.
Understood.
Going back to the happiness quotient, right? You're happy when you're treated well.
Sure.
Okay? For treating well, I have to treat you well as an associate, as a human being. Okay? I have to respect you. I have to generate your trust. I have to let you be so that I can inspire you. I will not be able to inspire you with purpose if your defenses are not right. Right? If you're always thinking that there's going to be an arrow that's going to stab me from somewhere, okay?
Then you can't give your best.
Then you will not be open to hearing, to listening.
Yes.
Right? So if I have to engage in a conversation where I want you to be actively listening to me,
Yes.
I have to have you at a place where you think that you're valued as an individual.
How do you ensure that for 5,000 plus people in your organization?
You build a culture where you listen.
Okay.
Okay? You build a culture where you communicate. And in an organization of that nature, you have to scale communication to the power of N, really. N being infinity. I believe in the mantra of communication, communication, communication. We run 2 Ask Me Anythings every month, where you have the ability to come and ask any question that is troubling you. At any point of time, you can ask the leaders in the room what's troubling you, and we bring that back. So we create themes, we bring it back, and we listen to what people are saying, right? I'll give you a very simple example. When I started out, I did my first all hands. We had 300 questions. At Broadridge. We had 300 questions that their associates asked. And I'm not joking. I had 170 questions on Sodexo cards.
Seriously?
Yes. What we did was we answered every single one of them, right? We did the all hands, then we did a 2-hour answering questions. What questions we couldn't answer, we published a written FAQ. Today, nobody asks about Sodexos in 3 years. Okay? The questions that get asked are, so in the international market, what are we selling? Which are the kind of customers that we are selling the communication and governance business to? This was the in the all hands that happened last week. Okay? And whom are we selling our capital market solutions to? And what are the potential leads that we can help from India?
The quality of conversations has significantly gone up
and have changed. Yeah. Yes. So if I've taken care of what's troubling you, right? Because that Sodexo card is not something that you're going to use. Okay, it's going to be something that somebody in the family is going to use, right? I am not ordering the vegetables at home. There's somebody else taking care of that. And for that somebody else, that $1,500 is important, right? It's almost free money.
Of course,
right?
Of course.
So, it kind of adds to the joys of the people that are running your household.
Very much.
And if you've taken care of that, you've taken care of one of the tensions of people.
It's something off my back now.
Correct.
I mean, it's a load off my back, right?
Yeah. You have good food available in the cafeteria 24/7. Okay. You've taken care of the fact that, oh, today I didn't have somebody to cook for me. I'll still get options to eat in the office, right? From just a thali to today a dosa or an omelette. So you take care of your basics. You start from your lowest hanging fruits.
Understood.
That's when conversations move up. But if you don't take care of your lowest hanging fruits, right?
Conversation remains there.
Yeah. Every year, are you doing better for the organization in terms of an insurance policy?
Increasing the premium.
Not increasing the premium, increasing the coverage.
Sorry, increasing the sum assured.
Yeah,
of the coverage.
increasing the coverage.
Yeah.
Right? What is it that the insurance can give to the associates, right? Every year, are you bettering the way that you are, really working for your associates? Are they getting their claims on time? Are they able to get their queries resolved on time? What is their SLAs? Are you taking surveys and are you hearing back from them? So when the associates start to believe that if they have an issue, they will be heard and it will be solved, conversations change. Right?
Fantastic.
And at the base level of all of that is, I respect you. I respect your opinions. I respect what you bring to the table. I respect your issues. Right? I will take care of you.
So respect is the foundation.
Yes.
You can't,
Yeah, because that's what generates trust. Once I trust you, I'm open to listening tough conversations from you.
Sheenam, you've led multiple teams, lean transformations across teams, geographies, etc., right? What's your leadership mantra when big, bold transformations have to happen, but the path is uncertain, it's not clear? How do you navigate it?
Great question. And navigation, we are talking about bold transformations, which are multi-year in nature, have multiple facets to it, right? One is, what is that transformation? The second link to that is, why should I do this? What's in it for me, right? And the third is, can I do this? Right? So we are talking about a leader or an associate in the organization. You have to enable all three conversations.
Okay.
Because all of us have a fear of failure, right? We come to do better because of that fear. But that fear of failure is very strong for each one of us. At whatever stage of career you are, fear of failure is the thing that, gets you forward, gets you to move forward. Now, for some people, the change can be so large that they're just in a moment of inertia and not able to move forward. So you have to have enabling. You have to start from enabling, which essentially means, do you have the right upskill exercises? Are you training them enough? Are you providing them resources that can enable them themselves to be better? Are you providing them the enablement through soft skills? Very, very important, right? Are you teaching them how to talk? Are you teaching them how to negotiate? Are you empowering them to take control? Those are the softer aspects of change management that you have to do. So there's this entire framework of L&D and OD that comes into the picture, right? L&D for skills, but OD really for really developing people to be saying, I can, right? That's very, very important. Then you go up, right? While you're doing this, you go up and you start to say, why do you want to do it? What will it make us? Right? Because if it is not going to make you something different and it's not going to align with an aspirational goal for you, or it's not a part of your North Star career journey, you're not going to do it.
Understood.
Right? So the why is really important. So if Broadridge, for example, has a 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0 journey, which is every 6 years we have, a 1.0, 2.0, 3.0. We are currently in 4.0.
Which is the, when you refer to it, it's basically the product.
It's basically, it's
evolution of the product?
It's an evolution of the organization for customers every 6 years. What are we going to deliver every 6 years? Now, Broadridge has a 4.0 goal. How does it matter to somebody in a team of 10 people at a really grassroots level? Right? If you talk about democratization of investment, if you talk about mutualization of communications, to that engineer, it's not going to matter, right? Those are too complicated words for that engineer to be able to assemble and say, this is what I will do to enable better financial lives for my customer, which is Broadridge's vision, right? And this is how I will do it. So that cascade of strategy and the power of why has to be broken down.
Such that even at the most grassroots level,
the
individual understands the mission and the
team,
purpose.
I understand what I am delivering for the organization.
And it contributes to 4.0.
Yes. What am I enabling? My work that I am doing as a tech writer, as a engineer, as an ops person, as a person in HR, as a person in finance, what is it that I am doing to make this goal happen? Right? How am I enabling that? So that breaking down of that strategy, and I call that strategy cascade, is really important. So the why, the definition of why is important.
Understood.
So the why and the what gets combined at that level. Okay? The how then becomes the necessity of me and my leadership team to try and break it down, and I go back to my first principles of breaking down things to granular levels that they don't seem challenging. Right? And I'll give you a simple example. We want to do business process re-engineering. Right? Now there is a business process that takes over 7 days and 3 people to do it. Now if you break that down to 2-hour process changes that we do, or things that we do every 2 hours,
yes,
or maybe even 1 hour, right? Then you start to understand what is happening at granular levels. Telling somebody that, these 3 hours, you could change the way you're working and actually do it in 1.5 hours, or actually get technology to do it, becomes far more easier than to say, I want you to convert a 7-day work with technology. The ability for me to think that big at a grassroots level doesn't exist.
Sure.
It has to be built. So how do you define processes? How do you define methodologies that are able to break it down into those small modular actions? Now, having those modular actions, what does it do? Then you're doing work every 2 weeks. You're doing
Yes.
work every week. You're doing work every month. I have a defined goal. I don't have a defined goal for 18 months, right? That I don't do anything for the first 6 months.
Yes.
And then suddenly in the last 6 months, I say, oh shit, I've not done anything. But if I'm delivering something every week, I'm seeing an incremental progress. And that incremental progress becomes my own dopamine to push me forward, to do more. Okay? B, I'm in control of things. So if I made a mistake, I realize it in 1 or 2 weeks. I don't realize it after 18 months.
Sure.
So
There's time
that's
for course correction and you haven't lost too much time.
So that's the leadership mantra that I have, right? Enable, tell people why, and then encourage them to really break it down into smaller pieces that are easily governed. You fail fast, you learn early, and you move forward also early.
Understood.
Right? That iterative cycle then becomes so much more enriching.
Yes. Staying with transformation, bold transformations, big transformations, Sheenam, how do you ensure that, let's say, the underrepresented voices within the organization are heard? Every organization has, those that are vocal, those that are heard, and, the voices that are just happy to come do their work and leave, but they're never really heard in that sense. So it could be women, it could be other sections of the organization that are not well fully represented.
I won't even go to a gender. I would just say you have 2 kinds of people in the world. If I have to do a very basic general categorization of people.
Okay.
One are people with the extroverted mentality and frame of mind, and the other ones are the introverted.
Introverts.
Okay. I won't even call them extroverts and introverts. I'm just saying extroverted, VAR, not were.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And the other is the introverted. Now, the extroverted will find a way to get their voices heard. And I'll give you a simple example. I used to have a manager in Dell who was an introvert. Like left by himself, he would sit in one corner and read a book. But he had figured that that won't work. So his personality of operation was an extroverted personality. So he would make sure he's heard.
Okay.
But there are those who don't even want to do that. But then you don't grow. Right? You may be introverts, but your work requires you to be heard.
An extrovert.
Yeah, the work requires you to be visible. Your work requires you to tell your story, right? So how do you enable them, right? So what we did for about 600 of our leaders is we ran workshops. We do this every year, right? We started with the first workshop, which was on impactful communication. What is impactful communication, right? Why is it important? Then we went on to the art of storytelling. How do you tell a story, right? Starting from a Shah Rukh Khan movie when he was doing Chak De, India, or a Swadesh, and I'm a big Shah Rukh Khan fan, right?
Really?
Right? To how does that work in an office environment, and what do stories in an office environment mean? And why are they important, right? Again, going back to the power of why, right? I have this problem. if we solve this problem, this will happen, and this will how Broadridge will get enabled, or Broadridge's customers will get enabled, or something which is a powerful story, and then this is how I will do it, and this is what I need, right? So that entire art of storytelling is what we have enabled our people with. And we just did a last exercise which was on change accelerator. So this was a 3-part journey,
Yes.
3-year journey. The change accelerator, we took them through the quarters model of change. We said, what does change mean? How do you go around making change happen? If you don't change, what happens, right? You are in one nice comforting zone. It's called in
your
the
own
change.
bubble or your own
Yeah,
cocoon
it's
or
in
what
the
have
change
you.
model. It's called mermaid. So you are in your mermaid space, but there's an alligator waiting for you. How do you actually, what are the crutches that you will have to face because what are the hurdles that you will face? What could be the potential pot of gold? So we are in that stage right now.
Right.
So you have to enable people slowly over time with that kind of transformation and really make them see how that change is possible. Then you have to do it in small actions. So that's at a granular level. Every group will have somebody who doesn't talk.
Yes.
Right? How do you ensure as a leader that you call that out? Hey, listen, buddy, you've been thinking a lot, right? I'm sure you're processing something. I would love to hear what you're thinking. So you have not talked at all in this meeting. But if you start to build a culture of saying, I want to listen to you, right? Going back to the respect and the trust, right? I want to listen to you. You do that in small 10 segments of 10 to segments of 70, 80. And people know that you are being watched and you will be pulled up. They'll start to think, right? Then I call out on people who really don't participate. And they say, come and talk to me one-on-one. Tell me what happened in the last 3 months.
But you do that only for your leadership team or one down, right? Because
But you build the culture, no?
You build the culture.
Yeah.
And then they push that
Yes,
down.
yeah.
It cascades
because then
down.
people have started saying, in my team there was this person, you never used to talk or she never used to, say anything, but now I can see a change and they're changing and they're, thing. So when you start to create safe spaces for your leaders and for their leaders, they'll start to propagate that down.
Cascades down.
Yeah. Again, why? Because they start feeling happy about it and they want to generate the same happiness below them.
Fair.
So that's what you have to enable.
On a slightly lighter note, Sheenam, if operational excellence was a sport, what position would you play and why?
That's a tough one.
Because you're clearly all about operational excellence and people and,
I am. And I think that has to be a very strong leadership mantra. I am a firm believer that execution will lead strategy any day. You could be really good with your vision, but if you don't have the right execution, you will fail. And the strategy is no use then. So you have to have the ability to take a sentence and build a vision out of it and build a strategy out of it. But if you cannot break that down to execution steps, then you're not there. I would think actually multiple things. A wicket keeper.
Wicket
You
keeper.
don't let an opportunity pass by you.
Okay. Or a goalkeeper in football?
A goalkeeper in football,
Yes.
yeah. A wicket keeper more than I'm more a cricket fan than a football fan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stay with that then.
Yeah, because you don't allow a run to happen. You possibly take a wicket. There are multiple ways in which you could do something like that.
Are you an MS Dhoni fan?
I am. Yeah, I'm a cricket buff. I'm a Virat Kohli fan. I don't have a particular thing. I love Sachin Tendulkar. I used to love Sachin Tendulkar.
Yeah,
So, I think playing in the midfield is also very important because
So
then you
in soccer, in football.
in football,
The midfield position.
yeah,
Okay.
is very important because you see everything.
Yeah, and you control the
Yeah,
pace of
yeah.
the game from the midfielder always generally controls the speed, pace,
Yeah.
strategy,
Yeah.
everything is kind of controlled from there.
So it would depend really on the situation.
Sure.
But it would be different positions for different things. A coach and a manager as a coach, right? Because we are talking sports, is very much like a coach of a sports team,
Sure.
right? And the fundamentals of manager as a coach or a coach manager position is that you don't play on the field,
Yes.
which means you stay away from the action.
Do you see yourself as a coach manager?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. So you allow action to happen,
That's interesting.
and then you wait for the team to come back to the dressing room and you do retrospection. You ask questions to figure out what went well, what could have been better, what was the opposition doing, right? What were their strategies, and how could you be better to handle those strategies in the dressing room, right? So that's an analogy that I actually use a lot.
So today you see yourself more as a backroom leader, strategist, somebody who is coach, who's not on the field when the game's happening. but
Again,
you're always
it
thinking
depends,
about-
Anthony. It depends on
Okay.
the situation, right? If there is a customer crisis,
Then you're right at the front.
yeah, you have to be a coach even then,
Yeah.
but there is some amount of telling
Sure.
than asking, depending on how much time do you have, right? But if there is ample amount of time and I'm making a change happen, which is a multi-year change, I would stand aside and do the direction through asking questions.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, so it really depends on what the situation at the hand is, right? I get 1 day to create an agenda for a customer or a board member, then I'm going to be deciding a lot of things myself.
Wonderful. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for that, Sheenam. Switching tracks a little bit to
Okay.
Gen AI, because that's all people seem to talk
Yeah.
about these days. And you've spoken a lot about it, right?
Yes.
Gen AI, digital transformation, and so on. How does it impact leadership decision making today? I mean, how much of a role is now Gen AI playing in decisions made by leaders in terms of what they do next? Because practically every leader that I speak to has their take on it, and it's influencing decision making in a big way.
It depends on what kind of decision making, right? If you're making decisions around people, I wouldn't use technology, right?
Okay.
I would do my analytics on, performance and stuff like that, but for potential, I would still rely on my gut, right? I think we have to, when we talk about decision making, we have to talk about business use cases. And what is it that the customer can be benefited by leveraging technology,
Sure.
right? If I have to do a automation, for example, right? I have to do business process automation. What I have to understand is whether writing a simple Python code is going to help, or writing an RPA is going to help, or writing plain simple traditional AI, you leveraging plain simple AI ML is going to help, or do I need Gen AI, right? So I think the use case has to determine what I want to do to enable it. Technology is an enabler. Technology is not the front leading part of decision making.
Sure.
So depending on what you want to do and what you want to achieve, you figure out what's the best technology to use and leverage,
Understood.
right? That's how I would see it. So if there is a use case which says there are 50,000 fixed bonds in United States and wealth managers take a really long time to give a proposal to their customers based on the customer's needs and life events, can that be reduced? I would use Gen AI.
And
Right?
you're not at all worried that technology will end up being the decision maker at some point of time?
It cannot be. It has to be an enabler.
Sure.
Right? I have started off with Business Basic when I started off at iFlex, okay? which was an interpreter, it was a dot line interpreter, to now low code, no code areas. They are all mechanisms that enable business. You lead with business, you lead with use cases, you lead with what the customer wants, right? For us, our customers are B2B. So what does a JP Morgan want to delight its customers with? What does Citibank want to do? What does SocGen want to do? What does HSBC want to do?
Your job is to enable that.
My job is to enable that, right? But it has to be led by what that wants. The skills of the future are product management. Going back to what you asked, right? The entire thing around empathy, the entire thing about sitting in a customer's shoes and living that persona, right, is going to be the most critical skill of the future. Technology will enable it. For sure. It'll make things faster, it'll make it more safer, it'll make it maybe not safer, we'll have to figure that out, but it'll make it faster, it'll make it more productive, it'll make it more, more utilitarian.
Understood.
But you have to decide what problem you're solving. And for that, you need human beings.
All right, so you're clearly a techno-optimist and you see the future bright in terms of how technology will support humans and not replace humans.
Yeah. Were you around when ATMs were introduced?
Very much.
Everybody at that point of time said bank employees do not have a future.
Yes.
Right? Banks are still thriving. They're still hiring people. The jobs have changed.
That is true. The only thing, Sheenam, is that we have never been in a position where technology has reached a point where it can think on par with humans and at some point of time think for humans.
Who's making them think like humans?
Humans are.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah.
But at some point of time, it'll reach a stage where they whatever checks and balances you've put in place may not be sufficient. For example, I don't know, recently there was some instance where I think 4 or 5 Gen AIs were told to shut down some aspect of what they were doing, and one of the 5, I think it was ChatGPT or one of those, I'm not sure exactly who, they refused their order. They refused the instruction.
I know what you're talking about.
Right?
Yeah.
Can't that as we go further become...
So it's finally what you have programmed the device that you have configured to do. Right? How much is the device listening to you? How much is the technology listening to you? And how have you programmed that technology to listen to you?
Sure.
It comes down to that, right? As long as you're setting the right guardrails, technology will behave.
Okay.
That's point number 1. Point number 2, we have seen AI models degenerate and not give the same kind of, accuracy as they earlier used to, which essentially means they also need maintenance, right?
Sure.
Job definitions will change. Okay, the value that you bring because you have a brain that has the capability of thinking very differently will change.
Sure.
Okay, but I don't think, at least in our generation, we'll see us being ridden by technology.
Okay, so you're not worried about a Terminator happening in real life?
No, I'm not. You can call me a techno-optimist.
All right. Sheenam, India and GCCs, it's something that, is now getting a lot of attention. People are talking about it, right? I mean, the global capability centers.
It's on the Prime Minister's agenda.
It's not just in India. I think people are recognizing the power of the global capability centers that are being set up in India. What is it that excites you most about the future of GCCs in India?
Why India? I'll answer that question first. Why India? We are an English-speaking nation. We create over 20 lakh engineering students every year. So there is, phenomenal amount of talent that's available in the market.
Yes.
So if there are 8 to 10 GCCs coming every quarter, they still have talent available for themselves. Why? What excites them about India? I think it's the hunger. We still have a lot of hunger in the country to do well, to prosper, and to improve ourselves. I'll give you a very simple example. I run a program which is called Wings, right? And I pick up young graduates from engineering colleges from rural areas. So these are people who possibly cannot speak English, who cannot write an email properly. Now they go through a 1-year program with me, which is called Campus to Corporate kind of a program. It's called Wings.
C2C, yeah.
Yeah, it's basically enabling them on weekends to learn English, to spoken English, written English, soft skills, behavior mechanisms and stuff like that. But they work with us. You should see the hunger. It's palpable. It's energy that gets infused into you. And India has loads of that energy still left over, right? We are a country that has got really great average age stats.
Yes.
We are still growing in population.
The demographic dividend
is perfect.
We've got it going for us.
It's perfect, right? And then, we are inspired by technology. Our parents wanted us to do technology, but we as parents now, have seen and benefited by the use of technology, and we have kind of induced that into our children. So it's like a phenomena that has come up, right? So you have English speaking, which is like base. You have hunger, ambition, drive, passion, and you have the ability to understand and create technology. That's a very powerful combination.
And this, so this is what you're harnessing, right?
Yes.
As an organization.
Yes.
And you personally also believe in the
Yes.
power of harnessing this, right?
Yes.
And so you actually hire these folks under your program.
Yes.
And then the training is an ongoing activity,
Absolutely.
almost as a part of onboarding.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And you've got this high quality talent, and possibly the few things that are missing would be maybe command over English, and possibly
that's one of the
polishing softer
programs.
skills.
That's one of the programs, but definitely it's one of the programs that I'm really proud of. But there are other colleges. Like I go to 18 colleges within India, pan India. These are not tier 1 colleges, but they are really high tier 2 colleges. And I pick up students from day 0 to day 5. So we've got a very good campus program that's running right now. We've created alliances with colleges where we are nurturing students from first year itself. We talk to them about digital transformation. We've recently, I don't know if you read in the news, but we've signed an MOU with LPU where we are training the teachers to have a course on finance and the digital transformation that's happening in finance, so that we can pick up these people directly into our organizations, and our customers can do that too. So really harnessing that talent bed is very, very important. We have a BFSI consortium that was launched in Telangana. Has just, we've just signed the MOU with the Karnataka government. I lead that as a chairman of the BFSI consortium with the program that we will get financial acumen built in engineering students, at least 1,000 engineering students in phase 1, right? Again, these are people that we can pick up, competition can pick up, our customers can pick up, just so that we have very different kind of courses available to our students to, kind of engage with, and we change little bit, influence little bit, an industry mindset into the student world,
so
into
this
the
is
academia world.
Not just for your organization, this is giving back to society. This is what you're doing for the country. To
Yes,
ensure that
enabling.
the talent gets placed, and you're acting as an enabler or a facilitator here.
Yes.
All right. You've also worked a lot with academia, universities and the like globally.
Yeah.
What's the one thing that you would say that India's tech talent needs to unlearn in order to sort of progress faster, quicker, and do more generally?
I think I wouldn't say tech talent. I would say our education system itself needs to unlearn books. We need to learn research, right? We need to enable our children to do far better research and give them a problem statement, let them come back with white papers, let them learn from what's happening around them and come back and present. They may do wrong things, but at least they are learning the skill to learn themselves, and that's very, very important.
Okay.
Right? The difference between what you are as a student to what you are in the corporate world is very stark today. Right? As a student, you're fed information.
Yes.
And you literally, in a large portion of our academia, take in and throw out. In a corporate world, that doesn't happen because there is this entire thing about art and science of possibilities.
Yes.
If you start attuning people to that research mindset already when they are in school, when they are in colleges, then their acclimatization to the corporate world is that much more faster.
So less rote, more analysis?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And going back to your question about being a techno optimist and the future where it's taking us, technology is going to do a lot of work for us, right? So our ability to think and analyze and create the future business case is going to get us to leverage the best technology, and
Yes.
that's going to be a skill of the future.
Wonderful. Sheenam, you are a very, very successful leader in your own right. You've really sort of, you've achieved a lot. I mean, that would be putting it mildly. If you were to speak to a room full of young women, what would your sort of real advice be? One that they would not find in any sort of brochure or any of that stuff, but just clear, hard, straight advice that you would share with them or leave them with.
I would say challenge the biases.
Okay.
Right? And when I say biases, Anthony, I mean biases in multiple places.
Yes.
In my previous organization, one of the things that I changed was that when visitors come, we had women in saris welcoming them. And I said, why?
So stereotypical.
Yeah. Right? Nobody had ever thought about it as a bias or anything like that. It's something that as a culture we've grown up seeing. But why women?
Well, if you had both men and women in traditional attire,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yes.
But only women in saris?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you start to question things that you have accepted as norm is when you actually start to break stereotypes.
Sure.
We have, I think, as a society evolved a great deal where normal biases have kind of disappeared. But there are still some biases that retain. And there are biases in the minds of the women themselves.
Sure.
Right?
Those are conditioned by society.
Can I do this?
Yeah.
Should I do this? Right? Should I talk this way? Will I be seen as assertive versus aggressive?
Right.
Right? So we condition ourselves and limit ourselves in a lot of ways.
That needs to change.
That needs to change. If I believe you don't like something about me, if I sit in front of you and say, listen, Anthony, yesterday when I said that, I saw a reaction that I believed was not right. And this is what that reaction made me feel. Right? Maybe you never meant to say that. Maybe you never meant me to feel that way. Right? So it was a bias in my head. Maybe you did. Right? And therefore it's a bias in your mind. But if I very coolly and calmly put that elephant on the table, okay, what I've done is I have addressed my own feelings. Okay, I've told you I didn't like it. Okay, I've given you a chance to retrospect. Go back to the principles of coaching. Every person wants to be good, right? 99.99% the person will never repeat it. Will be very conscious of that, right? So my advice to all the younger women is challenge those biases. I'll give you another example, right? During COVID, a strange woman from Pune reached out and she said, I want to be mentored by you.
Oh,
Okay. This was on LinkedIn. So we connected. I said, what happened? She said, I'm on a break because of COVID. There's nobody to take care of the children. No servants are allowed in this thing, so there's no staff coming to help.
Right.
Now I want to get back because, we were in the middle of wave 1 and wave 2, and my husband's not allowing me to keep a full-time help at home. So we had some conversations, and then finally I asked her only one question. I said, I want you to answer this honestly, and you don't expect an answer today. But I want you to tell me whether you believe, and I'm repeating this, whether you believe that your husband loves you.
Okay.
And it took her time, and she came back the next day and she said yes.
He does love her.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I said, if you believe that he loves, which means you believe that he cares, have a conversation.
Sure.
And they did. And they said, no full-time help, but you can get somebody at 7 a.m. in the morning till 7 p.m. in the night. It's problem solved.
That's not too bad, yeah.
Problem solved.
That's enough time for you to work.
Yeah. I said, what else do you need?
Fair enough.
So it's in your mind.
So have more conversations.
Yes.
Don't accept what is being
Correct.
said to you.
Yeah.
It's always a good idea to respectfully put forth your point
Correct.
of view and challenge assumptions.
This is going to make me happy.
Sure.
I told her to say that to him, that if I work, I'm happier. I want to be happier and I need help.
Wonderful. Sheenam, if your life were to become, your professional life were to become a Wharton case study, right? What do you think the title should be? The title of this case study?
That's an interesting question. I would say evolving careers through a happiness index.
Evolving careers through a happiness index. Okay. So basically it reinforces that you're a people first leader, right? You strongly believe in the power of people and human resource.
Yes.
Right? Okay, wonderful. All right, Sheenam, we move to what is my personal favorite, the rapid fire. I have a set of questions for you.
Do I need to be afraid?
No, you just need to answer truthfully.
Okay.
With candor, which I think you have been doing all through our session, and spontaneously. So spontaneity is important.
Okay.
Don't overthink it.
Okay.
Just the first thing that comes to mind, just say it. All right?
Be kind to me.
That my team has already been kind. I think they've just, all of these questions are actually designed to bring out your personality so that our viewers know a little bit more about you. Ready?
Okay.
Steady?
Yeah.
Go. A book that shaped your leadership thinking.
Atomic Habits.
Okay. The leadership quality you admire but don't personally have enough of.
Candid conversations.
Wonderful. Surprising though, I thought that is something
I can get more candid. Yeah.
All right. A tech buzzword you secretly wish would disappear.
Would disappear.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of times we use transformation very loosely.
Loosely?
Yeah.
You're done with it.
I use transformation quite a bit, and we are in the middle of change. But making it specific is what I would advise.
Okay. If leadership were a genre of music, yours would be?
So let me answer it by saying what's the music that I enjoy.
Yeah.
I really love listening to Rafi and Asha.
There you go.
So I'm very good with old Hindi romantic songs.
Melody and
Yeah. Something that I think leads to happiness.
All right. A mentor you never met but always learned from.
I can't think of anybody.
Nobody? Okay.
No.
The most overused word in corporate boardrooms. You could say transformation again.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
One quality that instantly wins your trust.
Candidness.
Your most
Transparency, candidness. Very important for me.
that gets you right
Yeah,
immediately.
yeah.
Okay. Your most productive hour of the day.
The last 1 hour of the day.
Really?
Yeah. Before I sleep, I spend an hour with myself. I'm generally playing a game on my phone, but that's the time that I'm internalizing what happened during the day. I'm thinking about what happens tomorrow. I'm thinking about what went well, what could have been better.
Better. Just for that day.
Yeah, for that day. So that's my time.
Wonderful.
And
Okay.
it's generally the last hour of the day because that's when I'm alone, completely alone.
A life skill all leaders should learn from outside of work.
I think developing a hobby is very, very important.
Important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Having something to do outside of work that rejuvenates you
Yeah.
is important.
What's yours?
It changes with time. I love to do a variety of things. In general, I am somebody who is never happy with one thing. I
Sure.
read a lot. I like to plant flowers. I like
Really?
color around me. So I'm a flower person. I'm not general gardening person. I like to have flowers.
Specifically flowers.
Flowers.
And multicolored if possible.
Multicolored, red, yellow, pink, whatever, right? Orchids. I love to go to the beach. I enjoy water. It relaxes me. I love to binge.
Binge watch OTT.
Yeah. So I'm a big binge watcher.
Lovely.
I could watch Shah Rukh Khan movies on repeat.
On loop.
On loop.
On repeat, on loop. Okay.
Yeah, so it really depends on what I want to do at that point of time. I could just sit down doing absolutely nothing and listening to old Hindi songs. I have a playlist that just can be super relaxing. So it depends on really what at that
Bottom
point
line is have something
Yes,
outside of work,
yes.
right? Don't let work be all consuming.
Yes.
That's not. You
The
should
second thing that I would say is have friends.
Of course, yes,
Yeah.
very important.
Even if there are 2 or 3, when you're low, it's not family, it's friends that have the ability to just zick you up, right? You know, there are people who call me, and I know they've called me because they're low, and whom I call and they know I'm low, that's why they've got that call. And you just sometimes just need that, right? That you
That
can
is
just
true.
pick up after 4 years,
Yeah.
and the time just flies away.
There are many friends with whom I don't meet them for years, just like you
Yeah.
just said, 4 years. But the time either I pick up the phone on them or I meet them.
Yes.
We catch up like we've never
Correct.
lost touch. So
Yeah.
I totally get
Yeah.
what you're saying.
I think that is also a very big de-stressor for me personally. So just having a circle outside of office
Very
is
important.
very important.
All right. Lastly, in one word, how would you like to be remembered?
As a person who enabled.
Okay. Enabler.
Yeah.
Wonderful. All right. Thank you, Sheenam. You did pretty well in the rapid fire.
Thank you. Thank you.
Because considering that these questions are all, you have no idea what's coming your way.
Absolutely.
So absolute candor is
Yeah.
a must, and spontaneity. So you did well on all those counts. Thank you so much. All right. As we wrap up our session today, and it's been a wonderful learning exercise for me personally. I've learned a lot.
Thank you.
If you were to look back at maybe your younger self 25, 30 years ago, and you were to whisper one sentence in her ears, which is your younger self ears, what would that be? The second part of question is, if you were to shout out from the rooftops advice for the younger generation, women, leaders, or those aspiring to be leaders, or even just a younger generation, let's say, not just women, men, everybody, right? What would that be? And this is a shout out. The first one is a whisper to your younger self. The second one is a shout out.
Actually, Anthony, I would possibly say the same thing for both. I would say take higher risks. Several years back, I was a very conservative kind of a person, very much in my comfort zone. And when we talked about the Montreal assignment, and that's when I was exposed to the fact that I could do more. So taking calculated risks is what I would whisper to my younger self. Right? Go out there and figure out what is it that you could do more. Get out of your comfort zone, get out of that moment space and do more. I would also shout out the same thing, because as careers progress with age, with experience, you get the wisdom, you find out that nobody is actually giving you an opportunity on a plate.
Yeah.
The kind that I got in 2004. Nobody is telling me today, hey, listen, Sheenam, you've done the first S-curve of growth for Broadridge India. This is your second one. I have to say, okay, now I am at a pinnacle. I want to get to the next S-curve, right? And if I have to do that, I have to figure out what that next opportunity is going to look like.
Right.
Which essentially means I have to think about it and get that. So my shout out to everybody, men and women inclusive, is, look around, okay, listen and find what people are telling you, and then try and figure out what are those rocks that are in your control and you can change and make things happen. Because that is the highest level of personal satisfaction that you could ever get in life.
So figure out where you are, at what stage in your career, and then take calculated risks.
Yep.
As and when appropriate.
Absolutely.
If required, bold as well, but do it.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Because that's what will get you to the next level.
Yeah, because if you don't experiment, you're not going to evolve yourself.
So get out of your comfort zone, which
Absolutely.
is also what you've sort of been,
Yeah.
the theme that you've been saying.
Yeah, the entire concept of entrepreneurship linked to yourself, intrapreneurship.
Yes.
That's what I would be, both whispering and shouting out.
Wonderful. Sheenam, it's been absolutely fantastic. I've really enjoyed this conversation, and I can't thank you enough for coming on board, spending time over a cup of coffee, and really talking about sharing your personal, your personal and professional journey, your professional journey mostly, and also insights, your personal insights. It's been absolutely fantastic. So thanks so much for coming. Thanks so much for making time. Really appreciate this session. Thank
Absolutely. You. Thank you for having me here. It's been an honor and a pleasure.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.